So let's get started. This is without a doubt the thing I get the most requests to make a video about, which is how to change a kill line on a regular sport pilot chute. I'm going to try and show you a few different versions of pilot chute. There should be enough information in here that you can do anything with this if you just kind of think about it. There's a lot of different ways of doing what I'm about to do. I'm not saying this is the only way, it's just the way I found and I prefer. The material I use for my kill line is cypress loop material. Now I know that some places use Vectran or Kevlar or whatever else, and there's lots of good reasons for it. But about 10, maybe 15 years ago, UPT went to cypress loop material, and I think it was a great idea because we got into this arms race where kill lines were getting super strong and they were destroying bridles. You'd rather have your kill line break than damage your bridle, so that's just all I'm going to say about that. To set yourself up, make a loop at one end in your cypress loop material. You can trap it in there using the cypress needle you do when you're making a reserve closing loop. Your rigger will have one. And then just to be a bit fancy dancy, I've sewn this down. If you don't want to do that, just tie a knot in it. That'll hold the finger trap in place. I really don't care, it's up to you. Once you've got a loop at one end, make sure you got enough material plus a couple feet that's longer than what you're dealing with, because you'd rather have a foot too much than an inch too little. So don't be silly about it. Now there's going to be a few variations on how these attach to your pilot chute. The method I prefer actually has an attachment point. The reason I prefer it is I make these, so there you go, there's the advert. But it doesn't mean the other methods are wrong. Sometimes it's just attached around the center post tape. I don't love that because on some of them it causes the knot to kind of migrate away from the hacky handle, but you know, it is perfectly a good method of doing it if you want. My preferred method on this type, when it's got the holes burnt in it, is to physically feed the kill line through the holes. It can be a bit fiddly. You can use a fid, or in this case I'm just going to use a set of medical tweezers just to get this thing started. And I'm going to try and pull, and then if possible push my new kill line through. There we go. And I can now loop the kill line onto itself, through itself I should say, so that it's anchored at the top. Boom. Take the slack out. Snug it up nice and tight. Come on. And there we have it. What you got to do then is make sure it's not fouled around any of the center post tapes, it being the kill line when I say that. So have them run into their most natural location, and what I'm going to do now is get rid of the existing kill line, because you're going to probably be dealing with one that's broken, or at the very least is no longer serviceable for some other reason, probably too short. I'm going to be super careful here, so we should probably dial 9-1 ready for my next mistake. And I'm only doing it this way because I forgot to put scissors in my pocket and I don't want to remake this video. There we go. So that's got rid of the old one, and I'll just pull that out now. Don't need it anymore. I could have used this to thread the new one, but that would have been a bit of a cheat because chances are you guys are going to be dealing with a broken one in the field, and I wanted to go through that method so that there's no obvious questions that haven't been answered. Boom. Now take a gun cleaning rod. So we'll go in through the window here. Now we'll do that double check, make sure our center post tapes are not obscured or fouled in any way. Find our kill line. Make sure it's running clear. Just put it through the eye of the rod and we'll put a little overhand knot on there. I'm just going to immobilize the top of this bridle now, just so I can pull against it. So where the bridle wraps around the pilot chute, perfect. Now I'll pull the first part of the kill line down and through the window. And because this one was pretty worn and was fighting me trying to get it through this way, we'll try a different tactic with it, which is we'll just push it the rest of the way. Boom. Now I'll get rid of my knot, don't need it. Now this other bridle, which is the UPT style of bridle, is already threaded. What I'm going to do is put it on the same point to immobilize it. And I want to just stress that when we pull on this in a few moments, I want to ensure that the bridle is all the way up against the mouth or the entry point of the bridle. So I want to make sure the kill line is all the way up against that. I think I might have just said that wrong a moment ago. Because otherwise my measurements won't be as accurate as they need to be. So I can do these two and get them started at the same time here. And what I'm going to do is pull any slack out of both systems. About 5 pounds of force, not too much. Now the measurements I'm going to use right now are also arbitrary. They're for a specific result that I want, but if you want your kill line a bit longer, use a different number. If you want yours a bit shorter, adjust accordingly. That's up to you, not me. You'll notice on the UPT style one, the kill line is already threaded through the kill line anchor point, this little piece of type 1 web in here. So with the whole thing killed and under about 2 pounds of tension, not much, make sure all the slack is out of the bridle, and then take your ruler, set it, in fact I should do this so you can see where I'm at, set it right at the edge of the anchor point and put a mark about 1.5 inches from there. There it is. I'm going to back feed that mark now till it sits in the middle, so I just put the slack back in there, and I'm now going to tie a square knot. So I'm going to take the right side, go over the left, pull it tight. Now take the left side, go over the right, pull it tight. And now I'm going to do a standard half hitch above that as a locker. Now that I've tied that off, I'm going to trim this with about 4 inches of slack. Again, this number is arbitrary, it works for me, you can do whatever you want. The reason I leave a little bit extra is you're going to need to adjust these in use, because cypress loop material, as I'm sure you know, is actually Spectra, and Spectra will shrink when you heat it, just with the friction of use. So don't be surprised if you have to adjust it, or maybe you don't like how much it's killing, I don't know, so there's other reasons you might want to adjust it. So I just cut this with a 4-inch tail, you pick what's good for you, and what I'll now do is trap in the excess. You actually don't have to if you don't want to, it's your rig, and all I'm doing this for is to make it look prettier. If you'd rather sew it, I suppose you could do that, but it'll be a little tricky when you want to adjust it then, because typically the adjustment's going to be done at this end of the game. We'll just milk the slack out. Don't leave a tail sticking out, it's just a higher friction point, then you're going to have some wear. I'm going to pull it all the way under substantial tension. I end up with this being probably be somewhere between 1.5 and 1/2 inch from the mouth, somewhere in that range, which is great. It's going to give me a full kill on the pilot chute, but it's not going to keep smashing into the mouth of the bridle and therefore, you know, increasing the wear and tear. Let's take a look at what we do on a kind of a Sunpath style, or I don't know, many other style of pilot chute, where it doesn't have this shrivel up section. Instead it has a retaining line, typically with a link or something on it. And if you had one that was sewn in before to this, don't worry about it. Just ignore where it was sewn in and do it the way I'm about to show you. So what I do again is I pull it under that moderate tension, it being the kill line, and I line it up with where I'm going to tie it to, which is the link here. I use exactly the same measurement, about 1.5 inches, from the 0 point, which is the end of this. There we go. I'm now going to put that 0 point around the link. Tie my square knot, right over left. I'm holding it in place. Left over right. Cinch it down. Put a locker above it. Measure 4 inches, just because that's the number I like, not because it's the only one that works. Trap it in. Now if you want to leave a bigger area here so you can take it on and off of the link, be my guest. I don't quite know why you'd be taking it on and off the link other than if you were adjusting it, in which case you'd be undoing the knot, but I'm sure there's a reason I haven't thought about. Please don't tell me, I don't need to know. Cinch that back, boom. And I'll just kind of put that mouth closed so it doesn't accidentally fall off, knowing my luck while I'm making this video. What I need to do now is check that they're actually killed and I did it right. So what I'll do now is I'll take both of the end of the bridles that attach to your canopy normally, and I'll put them on my little post here, and at this point I can check that they're both killed. I'm sure some of you are kind of scratching your heads thinking, why is the kill the position that we set it in? Because I really care about when it's cocked. Hopefully it'll make sense later. So if we just check this now, what I'm looking for is the when it's killed, it's a good kill. It's just shy of the mouth, and that these tapes aren't fouled. I got to be honest with you, you're probably not going to do any damage if these are fouled, but it looks like crap. That's really it. I'll now pull on this hacky, on this skanky old beat up pilot chute I just pulled out of the box. Yep, same again, tapes aren't fouled, and I'm about, I don't know, 1/2 inch, 1 inch from the mouth there, so perfect. So good, so now I know that I've done it right. When these are in use, they'll kill to the correct position. The next thing I got to do is cock them and then mark them with your telltale sign so you know you cocked it right. To do that, on the UPT style one, it's got these little fangs. They're fantastic for putting on your anchor point. On this guy here, this link will work just fine. Perfect. I'll just stick this on so we don't pull them off while I'm wandering around. All you got to do now is cock them. Easy enough, we all know how to do it. Pull on the hacky sack with sufficient force to fully extend the center post tapes. That's those white tapes I've been talking about, keeping them from being fouled. Boom. So we've done that nicely. Now we can go and have a look through the window here. Now right now there's no mark because we haven't put one there. But we know we just cocked them. So that's the center. And that's the center. Shazam. And what you want to do is give yourself a bit of latitude on this. I recommend about 1.5 inches either side. And it is about, I mean, if you need a ruler, feel free. If you want to go a bit more, if you wanted 2 inches, that's fine. These are kind of arbitrary made up numbers. Don't go so big that it's always cocked even when it's not cocked. But if you're within 1.5 inches of cocked, it's pretty likely that when you toss it out, that little bit of force it generates will be sufficient for it to cock itself. Now that being said, that is no substitute for you correctly cocking this. That is required. Please do that. But in case you're scratching your head on why I've given others a bit of a window, that's why I did it.
Some of you guys know what this guy?
Yes.
Okay.
If you're wondering what that disembodied voice is, we'll go meet him in a little bit. He's making the present batch that we've got going through. Same story on this side. So there's the center of my cock position. I'll do about 1.5 inches either side. Don't know if I've said it out loud. Green Sharpie works great. Any color will do it. Now we've got to check our work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of roughly kill these a little bit. I'm going to change that length by just pulling it back here and pulling this link back here. Alright, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to recock them just by pulling on the hackies again. There we go. So if we just pack this now, we should be set. So fingers crossed. Let's see if we've got green in the windows. Green, green, bang. Let's take a look down here, see what we got going on. This guy shrinks all the way up. Fair enough. Like I've said, if you wanted to, you can leave him 1 inch longer, but then you'll get 1 inch less kill. That's up to you. UPT, they've left us a bit extra here, which is a nice thing, so it's not under quite so much tension and it doesn't kind of cavitate during use and burn its way through that. But, you know, be fair, all these things do wear out. Good luck with that. I hope you don't need it. This is just how I do them, as I said earlier. Do them your way. You're done with any information at this point. The next thing I'm going to do is kind of do a little commercial, just show you some of the stuff we make. If you ever want to buy a pilot chute, we make them with hackies, monkey fists, free fly handles, regular bridles, regular length bridles, wingsuit bridles, curve pin, pull out, blah blah blah, ZP every size, F111 every size, color, 80 bucks. Where are we? August 2016. I'm sure that'll change. 80 bucks. I'll grab a few, show you a picture, and thank you.